Welcome to yet another edition of International Forum. I am Wilson Marshall. Well, today is all about the Israel-Hamas, or what you call Gaza war, so to speak, the prospect of fighting peace. Don't forget that Kamala Harris, the Vice President of the United States of America, paid a visit to them as she spoke and stand term for there to be ceasefire. Now, that is what we want to take a look at today, the prospect of having the ceasefire. Before that, let's take a look at some stories making rounds globally. Now, let's move straight down to what is happening in Haiti, where there was a massive jailbreak. Two major prisons were like distorted when you talk about arrangement, and inmates over 4,000 were released. All because of the gang war taking place right now in Haiti. It's like the gangs, they are on rampage, and nobody seems to be stopping them. Even the police are finding it so difficult to cage these gangs to the extent that they were emboldened to go to some maximum correctional centers to break their friends free from jail. And right now, the streets in Haiti is no longer safe. It's like a war-torn area, a war zone between the police and, of course, these gangbangers, these drug lords, this person that don't want to live according to law and order. And the big question now is, when will peace be restored in Haiti? Don't forget, Port-au-Prince seems to be the center of it all. Don't forget that these same persons eliminated a president. He was assassinated, and still no one has been brought to book fully that A or XYZ is responsible for the death of the former president. And right now, Port-au-Prince and other towns and cities in Haiti have been struggling just to make sure that they just been able to put heads together for a furtherance of the cause of economic rejuvenation, of the cause of security, you just name it. But as we speak right now, peace has eluded the particular country, the island of Haiti. Moving away from Haiti, let's get straight down to what is happening in the U.S., where Donald Trump has gotten a massive victory by the Supreme Court. Yes, there was a case against him to dissuade him or prevent him from competing or contesting the U.S. presidential election. But the 9 judges in the Supreme Court said, look, you don't have the right to stop this man from contesting. I mean, it was like, a 9-0 thing. 9 judges in the Supreme Court sat and the deliberator made saying, you just can't, because of mere accusation of him causing, orchestrating the attack on the Capitol, to prevent him from contesting. Let the citizens of USA say for themselves if they really want him to be their leader or not. You have to leave it for the ballot bosses. You have to leave it for the election. You have to leave it for the U.S. citizens to decide if they are madly in love with the person of Donald Trump, and peradventure he wins the election. Maybe they just like his thing. You never can tell. But for you to tell us to bar him from contesting, that is totally out of the equation. As it stands right now, Donald Trump has gotten this massive victory and is going to be marching forward all the way to get straight down to the polls. Massive win for him. Let's just see how all this will just pan out eventually. Moving just down to what is happening between Russia and Ukraine. Don't forget that some drones, yes, from Ukraine, they went out there in Crimea to attack Russia, because Russia said that if you launch an attack on Crimea, it's an extension of Russia, you're attacking Mother Russia. And guess what? They retaliated with serious bomb. Kyiv got its own fair share. Kyiv got its own fair share. It's like Russia is hammering seriously on Ukraine. I wouldn't want to be sentimental about this. It's like, an onslaught, so to speak, in most towns and cities of Ukraine, because the Russian forces seems to be so persistent in the attack. And Russia said the brought 39 drones of Ukraine. That didn't even scratch, or will I say hurt them so bad. And Ukrainians right now, they are crying seriously for more funding, for more weapons. They're even begging the EU to send troops. When will this war end? That is a question many people have been asking. Is there an end in sight to this war? Some are claiming victory, others are claiming losses. But one thing is sure, many men and women have lost their lives because of this war. And the world is suffering also because of this war. Take a look at hiking prices. Yes, it's not unrelated to what is happening right now between Russia and Ukraine. So that compound the issue. We have the Israel-Hamas war, which is the topic for today. But come on, think about it. Nothing is as precious as peace. Haven't done that? Let me come back again to the studio with my guests waiting to really get to share their thoughts and their opinion on the Israel-Gaza war and the prospect of having peace. With me here in the studio, I have a barrister, Abayomi Thomas, a legal practitioner, human rights activist, political affairs commentator. Barrister, welcome to International Forum. Appreciate your coming.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, viewers at home.
All right. So very close to him, he is our legal practitioner, Barrister Emmanuel Obakbolo, a human rights activist, political affairs commentator. I'd like to say welcome to International Forum, Barrister.
It's a delight being here. Good afternoon, Wilson.
All right. Now, all the way from Massachusetts, yes, USA, via Zoom, we have yet another legal practitioner in the person of Osaho Osazua. Osaho Osazua, how are you doing? How's the U.S.?
We are doing good over here.
All right.
Thank God.
All right, you're doing great over here. Okay, right now, in due course, definitely you're going to be hearing them as they share their thoughts and opinion in this particular discussion. Barrister A.B. Thomas, I'm going to start off from you. This war's been raging over a year now. I've been talking about this, the prospect of ceasefire. We don't want to know who is right or who is wrong, but it's a war raging right now, and the Israeli military forces, they are not backing down. They are pummeling Gaza, but to them, they are fighting against Hamas, the prospect of peace. Take it up from there.
Well, I can say, looking at the war now, there is great hope or great prospects for a ceasefire between now and the weekend. My reasons for so optimistic is the fact that America, that has been blocking the entire world in forcing Israel to a ceasefire, America is now backing down. There are the moderate Democrats among the President of America's party who are now insisting that Israel's retaliation amounts to human catastrophe in Gaza. Today we have over 35,000 Gazans killed by the Israelis in retaliation for October 7, 1,378 persons killed and 249 kidnapped by Hamas. While Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, has been saying nothing short of total victory will allow for any peace in Israel. But President Biden of America is also facing election this November 5th in America. We know that Trump will certainly represent Republicans. And for him to get both the conservative Democrats and the liberal Democrats behind him, he has to listen to liberal Democrats. That is why he has decided to give America what we call a slap in the face by sending the American Air Force to start dropping food in the air, from the air in Gaza for about 38,000 Gazans. And not only that, President Biden has invited Alan Gans, the most popular opposition leader to Netanyahu in the coalition government, to visit America. And indeed yesterday, he visited America. And this is a man everybody in Israel are touting as the next Prime Minister of Israel. So, Kamala Harris has already told them that what you are doing in Gaza is a human catastrophe. You are already committing humanity crimes. So Israel is now looking at it. From the European side, they'll be having shouts of ceasefire. From the populace of Americans, they've been asking for ceasefire. Biden, who has been playing hawkish, is now saying, no, it's time for ceasefire. But the Vice President of America, Kamala Harris, went beyond Biden's own by saying, look, you are committing human rights abuses. You must now stop. Okay. So when you now have a situation like this, and the Hamas, they are still in charge of so many hostages, you have to ask yourself, is it worth the price we are paying?
All right. Is it worth the price we are paying? Over to you, Barrister Emmanuel Obapolo. What do you feel about this? Because what is said in a week time, there might just be a prospect of ceasefire. Don't forget, Kamala Harris spoke really, really hard and tough about the situation in Gaza. Take it up from there.
Yes, there is a saying that in every dark cloud there is a silver lining. And I think just now, what the world needs in Israel is peace, particularly in the battle between Israel and Hamas. And just now, arithmetically, the Hamas have 130 Israelis in captivity, while Israel, on the other hand, has 300 Gazans in captivity. So minus plus, you would agree with me that there is need for peace just now. However, the saying goes, he who wants peace must first prepare for war. And I think the war was senseless, unprovocative, particularly the attack on October 7th on Israel. And when you look at the situation just now, particularly, you try to compare and contrast that with Russia-Ukraine, because last month, February, the Russian-Ukrainian war became 2 years old.
2 years, yes.
So you would agree with me that if something is not done speedily to ensure or to ensure that there is a ceasefire in Israel-Hamas war, then we may likely also be seeing another adversary in addition to the one we are approaching just now. I think there's a gleam of light. Israel also would want to listen to one of our allies, which is the United States of America, because even this war we see just now, we have come to understand that there is also a political undertone to it, despite the fact that it was unprovocative, it was senseless, and there was no need for it. However, you would agree with me that Israel took a step towards the right direction, so to say, and somewhere along the line, it became so hazardous. That environment is no longer conducive for human existence, and the missiles, the other weapons that are being used are beginning to affect even the natural arrangement by nature and God Almighty. So I think just now there is absolutely need for the peace. If we go back to memory lane, particularly history has it that since 1948, Israel has been battling with our neighbors. And the one that really caught my attention was that took place in 1967 to 1970, where 12 Arab nations and Israel went into battle. And you have the, the history and what really transpired in that. So the world just now wouldn't want to experience that bitter pill that was forced in the throat of every human existence to swallow as it was. So I think just now, hence America is soft-pedaling, particularly the government of President Joe Biden is now looking at considering a political angle to it, because on 5th of November this year, there will be a poll. So himself want to secure the second term, so to speak. So if you want to look at the political angle of it, yes, there is prospect that there could be peace, because just yesterday.
Political angle of it.
Yes.
I'll come back to you on that. I'll come back to you on that. Well, Barrister Osaho, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, now.
Last week anyway.
Okay, fine. Now, we were taking a look at the views of Kamala Harris, the Vice President of United States of America, and of course, our comment that people like saying that might just lead to peace between Israel and Gaza, talking about ceasefire. Don't forget that Ramadan, so to speak, is around the corner. Is that the point at which you feel that the Hamas militia will release these hostages for there to be ceasefire?
Yes, that's part of the equation, we'll say. You see, the Democratic Alliance here is a broad spectrum one, unlike the Republican Party that is built on the two pillars of being white and being Christian. The democratic structure in the US is very broad and all-encompassing. And I tell you, as much as 20% of that spectrum is built by Arabs and the Muslim coalition, who have historically voted Democrat. And this is an election year, and an election in which the incumbent President Joe Biden is trailing. So much is at stake for them. The news coming out of Gaza is not good for the Democratic Party, not for Joe Biden, who is facing, who has got his back against the war in these coming 4th November elections. I haven't said that. Apart from the domestic policy issue that has not arisen from the Gaza quagmire, there's also the issue of human rights, the issue of what they call overkill, the issue of excessive force that has been displayed by the Jewish nation Israel. Yes, we agree that what happened on October 7th was barbaric, was inhuman, and was brutal. Talking about even yesterday when it has been said that a massive rape and mutilation took place on that day. Yes, we know it was brutal. But then, again, what led to that October 7th attack? So, yes, the time for peace has come. The time to juggle the balls and see what happens and what gives is now. So that is why Kamala Harris invited Benny Gantz, and then you see that first speech she delivered yesterday, sending an unmistakable Israel, an unmistakable message to Tel Aviv and to Jerusalem that the time has come that something got to give. To use the American term. Yes, something got to give. The time has come for a ceasefire. The time has come for some kind of deal that will save faithful for Israel and for Hamas. So that's that. It is said, it was the great writer Brian Brown that said that while we may not know the certain changes that tomorrow will bring, we however do know that tomorrow will bring certain changes.
All right.
So the certain changes that has to come now is the way forward for peace.
Okay.
Some kind of deal before the Muslim, only the Muslim or the Ramadan. So they are trying to cash out this desperately on all sides. And I think the next 48 hours will be key, or even likely the next 24 hours, we have some kind of deal. Because it is hurting Joe Biden in the polls.
Okay.
Because when you lose almost like 20% of your voting bloc, who have always voted Democrat, and now they don't. Why would the average Arab or the average Muslim, like say in a place like Michigan, that they make up almost half of the vote from Minnesota, are voted from the Muslim bloc. They won't go to the polls to vote for you.
I will come back to you.
What is happening in Gaza?
All right.
If you have Your heart will be broken.
All right.
You will see,
Barrister, I will come back to you. I will come back to you. Okay, now he said something has to give. He's taking it from the political angle that the polls are not favorable to Joe Biden. Is it all about politics or human nature or human face? Barrister Thomas.
It's a combination of both. I started by saying that. I said so. And I said within now and Friday, I expect a ceasefire. I am not a magician. It is because we have to look at the political landscape in America, which is a sharp contrast from what is in Israel. Netanyahu wants the war to continue. Why? There are 11 charges prepared by the Israeli police against Netanyahu. So if the war stops and the government of Netanyahu breaks down, Netanyahu will surely go to prison. So it is in his own interest for the war to end. If we look at the political landscape in America, America is going for election who will be the next president by November 5th. But Joe Biden is trailing. And I mentioned earlier that there are liberal Democrats. And these liberal Democrats are mostly Muslims. They are mostly Muslims. And they are already saying, look, don't expect our votes while our people are being killed. So it's a combination of what is happening politically in America and Israel. Then you look at what the international community is now saying. Whatever Hamas did on October 7, something led to it. But we don't expect it to continue with this war, particularly when Israel is blocking humanitarian aid into Gaza. And people in Gaza are beginning to eat grasses like animals. They pluck grasses from the ground to eat.
But those are vegetables, according to them.
But I am telling you what they are now eating, which is not their normal food. So if in Benin here, my good friend who invited me here begins to eat grass, that will not be vegetable to him. It will not be vegetable to you. So this is not their normal food. And people are now complaining, look, enough is enough. There is no doubt that Israel is the most powerful country in the Northeast. I mean the Middle East. My learned friend went to the issue of 1967 to 1973, Yom Kippur War. Those days are changed. Most of the Arab countries want Hamas eradicated because they themselves are afraid of the radicals, the Muslim Brotherhood in their countries. Countries like Egypt, Qatar, Kuwait,
Saudi Arabia,
they are afraid because they want to keep on their own hegemony of ruling. But at the same time, they are also interested in ceasefire because when you are looking at your brothers being slaughtered and you want to remain in power, the people you are ruling upon will begin to ask you questions. Is it because you are afraid of a similar revolution in your country that you cannot stop the slaughtering of fellow Muslims? Then, thirdly, the Ramadan that comes next week. But may I see very little that the Ramadan will play in a matter like this. Because if I'm a Muslim, if you look at Israelis, they've never respected our religion, Islam. They block people from going to the holy site.
What is that? If you say you don't respect religion, that is quite not completely true.
I am speaking my own opinion.
Even if it's your own opinion, doesn't they not respect the religion? No, because they still have access to the holy site to pray.
How many people go there?
Until this war started.
No, I'm talking of during this crisis.
Okay.
Please.
Okay.
I am talking of during this crisis. If this crisis continues during next week, you would have gone into Ramadan. You would have gone into Ramadan with this crisis if there's no ceasefire. So it is not in the interest of the Israelis to go on a ceasefire because of Ramadan. No. But the Arabs will put pressure on Hamas and say, look, Ramadan is a period of retrospect where you give total supplication to Almighty Allah. And in that stage, at that particular period, Almighty Allah embodies all Muslims to be peaceful. And if you are going to be a good Muslim and you want peace, why will you keep hostages? Why will you keep hostages? So it is the Hamas who are going to be ready to quickly seek for peace, not minding what happened last week in Cairo when the peace meeting was called in Cairo and many countries attended, including America. Israel refused to attend for the ceasefire. The reason was that Israel was saying Hamas must give them
the
comprehensive list of the hostages.
That's what they're saying right now.
Hamas is saying, look, we will give you this thing, but you stop bombing us first. So at the end of the day, I can tell you, I know you are in a hurry, but I can tell you straight away, I can see ceasefire this week.
Barrister Emmanuel Obakpolo. Now, a condition was given to Hamas. For Israel to cease fire, they have to bring out the remaining hostages. But some of the opinion that some of these hostages have been killed already. Do you think if the number of hostages, if it's not correct or complete, do you see Israel honoring any form of ceasefire? Take it up from there.
Yes, initially, from the outset, this war started from two angles, looking at the security aspect of it and the political angle of it. But just now, I think there is a third angle to it, which is spiritual.
Spiritual?
Yes, particularly with the Ramadan month just here, smiling at us just now. And I think the Hamas would want to take advantage of it to the extent that they would want to ensure, because you cannot go into the Ramadan month of fasting, of cleansing, without first removing all of these fetters, because I do see them as fetters. Because you cannot, where will you have that zest? Where will you have that strength? Where will you have that energy when you are at war and at the same time going to spiritual cleansing? I do not think that is possible anyway. So I think the spiritual angle of it would want to soft-pedal the strength and the battle from the angle of Hamas, and also the intervention of the Arab community, to the extent that they want a situation where the Ramadan month is a month of holiness, it's a month of peace, it's a month of purity, it's a month of cleansing, and it's a month of harmony. It's a month of giving, sharing together as brethren. So if Hamas may want to take advantage of that, and I think at this stage, one would want to admonish Israel to also soft-pedal, whether or not the numbers of the speculated number of those taken hostage is complete or not complete shouldn't be an issue. Because just now, arithmetically, Israel is saying 130 persons, while on the part of Israel, 300 persons. So that shouldn't be an issue. The figure, the arithmetics shouldn't be an issue, but rather we should look at the spiritual angle of it, because you would want to agree with me, though they say it's a white man's belief and perception that the spiritual controls the physical. So if they take advantage of it, I think the world will smile again in that angle of the world.
All right, now, Barrister, you heard Barrister Emmanuel Obakpolo. He said it is not about mathematics, because the Israelis are asking for a specific number of hostages taken over by Hamas. And from reports we are getting, maybe peradventure some of these hostages have been killed. Do you think the prospect of ceasefire would take place or see the light of day even with the commencement of Ramadan, if by calculation the number of hostages earmarked by Israel for Hamas to release is not complete?
Yeah, thank you very much, Mixi. What we have before us is a conundrum of some sort. It has several layers. And once you open a layer, you realize that it's another layer beneath the layers that has been opened. So that's what we have now. Yes, when people talk about Hamas, most of us think it's a monolithic group. It's a group that has a top to bottom structure that is unbroken. No. Hamas has splinter groups. Hamas has several units that are not under the direct control of the so-called leaders. That is the issue with Hamas. So that is the sole reason why Hamas cannot categorically tell you how many hostages they have or how many hostages they took on that day, October 7th. So we say it's 220, some figures will say it's 250, some will say it's 249. They don't really know because they are not under the direct command of those persons, that those guys that went to put that in, so to speak, on that day. Hamas is not a monolithic group. And now, they don't have those people ahead as different locations. They don't even know the numbers of those that are still alive, those that have been killed either by Israeli bombs or even by Hamas themselves. So that is the issue they have. And now, Netanyahu wants to have the exact figures of how many Israelis are still being held by Hamas. Hamas is dilly-dally. They are trying to play smart because they don't know. They don't know. We must understand something about this Islamic groups, about this jihadist extremist group. That once, just like Islamic State, once you begin a group like that, or like Boko Haram under a Sunni Islamic terrorist group, you lose control. You might have funded something, but it grows and it becomes bigger than you. That even the so-called leaders cannot longer control the different units and the different operatives that are almost independently working on their own. So that's the issue we have today. But we must understand, because I heard you guys made the point there about the need for peace, about the need to get the deed done before the holy month of Ramadan. That's good. And then also importantly about other Islamic states, moderate Islamic nations trying to save face, trying to prevent an escalation of the problem. Because at the end of the day, this thing might start happening in their own different nations. Talking about Saudi Arabia, talking about Qatar, talking about UAE, and other rich Islamic nations that have so much to lose for the prolongation of this conflict. They all want it. You know why? Because there are so many jihadist Sunni groups, most of them Sunni groups, that have a very distorted interpretation of the Holy Quran. They have a very distorted interpretation of the scripture as given by Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. And that has always been the issue of terrorism and jihadism in Islam. So that now the world has to come to back up all those moderate Islam, so that moderation win. It was a sage that said that religion is good, that teaches man to be good. We must understand that we are all of God's children. That the more this war is prolonged, the more people get agitated, and the more they tend to gravitate towards extremism. That is the reason why this war has to end. Why Netanyahu has to put his foot down and end this conflagration and this conflict. And I tell you the truth, Netanyahu is the biggest benefactor of this war.
Okay.
Netanyahu is the biggest benefactor of this
war. All right.
He has so much to lose if the war ends, and so much to gain as long as this war continues. Do you know that, my brother? I don't know if you know this. That when Netanyahu has it on good information before that October 7th attack, he didn't do anything about it.
Yes.
He could have stopped it.
Turkey won.
He didn't do anything about it because he knew that if these guys do this and they do these things, he's going to start a massive war that will ensure that his own prime ministership continues. And
all right.
This thing ends.
Okay, thank you.
To the drawing board, they will start doing investigation. At the end of the day, that will be the end. He might even end up in jail.
He might even end up in jail. All right, thank you.
That is why Benny Gantz. let me quickly listen. You know Benny Gantz that met Kamala Harris yesterday came. That meeting he came on his own. He's a member of the work cabinet, but he wasn't sent by Netanyahu. If Netanyahu said don't go, but he went because he began to understand that Netanyahu is profiting so much from this conflict. Netanyahu wants to remain prime minister for life, and something has to be done to ensure that Netanyahu is removed from that seat.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much, Barrister. Thank you so much, Barrister. Now, let me come to you, Barrister Abi Thomas. He's towing your line, talking about Netanyahu having so much to gain if the war should continue. But he made a comment. Netanyahu gave a specific number of hostages that Hamas must release for him to even listen. Now, do you see Hamas being true enough or able to bring out the said number of hostages? But Barrister Emmanuel said the mathematics to arithmetic doesn't really matter. Just bring out some, but Netanyahu was so specific about the number he's looking for. Do you see Hamas meeting up with those numbers?
Hamas doesn't know. I told the line of Osazua, and in my told the line of Osazua that Hamas does not know how many hostages are still alive.
But they captured these hostages.
Yes, but
they killed some of them.
But there has been bombings. We say there has been bombings. You were not there, I'm not there. We are relying on the information we are getting from satellite TV stations.
Sorry for cutting in. A specific number of hostages were abducted from Israel. And he said Hamas doesn't know.
Excuse me.
How can we relate to that?
As I was speaking just now.
Yes.
You didn't interject. You didn't because it's in America. I'm meeting with you here.
I was interjecting.
Now listen to me.
All right.
Hamas has splinter groups.
Yes.
We have the Asaru Brigade.
True.
We have those groups who are allied to Hezbollah in Lebanon. Each of them have their own cells. And the bombing in Gaza has been such that it has been carpet bombing. Bombing of tunnels. Now all communications with Gaza has been cut. So if you want to talk with somebody in prison in Sapele, you need communication. If you talk to somebody in prison in Ubiaja, you have to need communication. And these communication gadgets have all been destroyed by Israel. So the only way Hamas can now get to know how many people are remaining among the hostages is for Israel to accept this initial plan of Americans, which says there should be at least 6 weeks truce, 6 weeks ceasefire. If there is 6 weeks ceasefire and Israelis does not go after Hamas, Hamas will be able to go through the tunnels looking for all other members or other groups so as to collect the number of people who are remaining. You don't expect Hamas to expose themselves to the drones, the Israeli drones, yet they will be looking for hostages. That doesn't make sense. You have to have a ceasefire to enable them look for the other groups and say, look, we have to give these people out. So Netanyahu insisting, oh, 130, it was 130. When even the Hamas themselves have said, some of our fighters have been killed by the bombs. Some of your hostages have also been killed by the bombs. If the bomb is dropped in a particular place where Hamas is holding hostages, will Israeli bombs differentiate those who are holding Hamas? Will it differentiate? Does the bomb know language? Does the bomb know color? The bomb will definitely kill the fighters and kill the hostages. So at least ceasefire. So we can from there begin to look for the hostages who are remaining. Because like he said to you, the greatest benefactor from this war is Netanyahu. But his backbone is being broken already with the visit of Gantz, who is a member of the cabinet, the war cabinet, and who is the likely next prime minister of Israel. He went on his own on a visit. But before he left Israel, Netanyahu called him on the phone and warned him not to go.
Not to go.
And he told Netanyahu, you are on your own. I am going. And he was received by the highest, second to the highest official in America, Vice President. And today, he will hold a meeting with President Biden. And by tomorrow, he will meet some Congress caucus members. So who is now Netanyahu? He is now being left behind. If he wants to continue the war, then let him begin to shoot American planes and are dropping food on the ground. Then we now know the meaning of war.
Wow. Everyone's going to be talking tough. Ramadan just next week. Barrister Emmanuel Obakbolo, you've been smiling, listening to all this. You talk about the spiritual angle, but there's still a heavy question on the ground. The numbers right now, that is a deliberation. Now, they will say you have to give us this number or else forget about ceasefire. After all, the UN said they should ceasefire. Israel refused, and they were still bombarded.
Because of America.
Yeah.
America is turning back now.
They were still bombarded, so take it up from there.
We do know that from the outset of this war, that the likely beneficiary of it is Benjamin Netanyahu himself. I think that is something that is obvious and has come to public domain to the extent that from day one, the comment made by him, where he said, and I quote, that Israel did not start the war, but Israel will finish
the war.
And I think that is what he's trying to stand on. And Israel finishing the war, like he said, Israel would need time. And who will that time favor? It's himself. Because by that time, the man is looking at sitting tight to his office for a very long time, even after the expiration of his tenure. But looking at it, war has come, but peace is more expensive. And I think, like I did say, looking at the arithmetic angle of it, wherein Netanyahu is bent on saying that we have 130 hostages in your camp, in your custody, in your captivity, and we have 300. And if you give us the 130, we will give you the 300. Even at that, where there is no, now that the number is not to the expectation of Netanyahu as suggested or envisaged by him, what happens? And I think that is where the international community needs to come in and say, look, this is war. In war, you cannot really give adequate number of those who were killed or perished and those who are alive. But yet that we have some persons who are still alive who may, in the nearest future, tell the testimony of what they have gone through and the testimony of what really happened. If everybody is to come to the International Criminal Court or come before justice. But for now, just now, to give peace a chance, I think Netanyahu should allow peace to reign in the Middle East.
All right, now, Osazua, if you are still there, just 1 minute to summarize the point. Now, with the exit of a member of the war cabinet to the USOC, Camilla, do you think there is a crack right now in the Israeli war cabinet compartment, so to speak?
Yes, I think so. But under the same breath, I would tell you that when it comes to defending the homeland or the Jewish nation, each and every Israeli leader, they are committed to the bones. They have vowed not to yield an inch of land or to give one member of the family to the executioner. I still remember, to put it calm, I still remember the raid on INT'L when this Netanyahu, when he lost his elder brother. His elder brother was the one that led that raid to rescue those Israeli people that were kidnapped and taken to somewhere in Kampala, Uganda.
Yeah.
It says something. He was talking about a man called Amatai. He's very instructive. Let me quickly say this. He said that if Amatai were alive, he would have stopped. We depend on nobody, he would have said. Israel has been forced into aggressive defenses, and the stakes just keep getting higher. And at the end of the day, we might have to choose between options that will put down the whole altar of humanity, that to surrender a single member of the family to the executioner, unquote. That has been the thinking of each and every leader of the Jewish nation when it comes to confronting terrorism and defending the homeland. But having said this certain Benjamin Netanyahu has taken that resolve to his own selfishness. He has taken that resolve to benefit himself, and he has perpetuated himself in office that so much so that he's now the longest serving Israeli prime minister in history. How has he been able to prolong his prime ministership? By fighting and waging unnecessary wars. This war could have been averted from the very beginning. Netanyahu has it on good information, that the Mossad gave him the information and intelligence that an attack was coming. Even the US, the CIA also did so, but it did nothing. He was waiting for Hamas to strike so that he can take that opportunity to launch a counterattack and decimate Gaza. That's how selfish and how wicked that man has become.
Thank you.
But we just pray that somehow we edge a deal that we see the end of Netanyahu. And once I tell you, brother, once Netanyahu lives there, the Jewish nation and an Islamic brother will live together for decades before you see the next conflict. But as long as Netanyahu is there will be conflict.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Barrister, all the way from Massachusetts, USA. Over now to you, Barrister Ibi Thomas, your last line. How do you think others will pan out? Will there be a ceasefire?
There will be a ceasefire. Otherwise, there will be a coalition between America and Israel. And America is going to force a ceasefire on Israel because all Biden needs to do to get a ceasefire is to increase the number of C-130 aircrafts that carries food, medicine. If you are down sending 30 every day, send 300 every day. The whole of the sky in Gaza will be full of American warplanes.
Would they crash on each other?
I have been to Atlanta.
Yes.
And I was shocked. Sorry that I'm digressing.
Yeah.
I was shocked. Just like vehicles park, you are going to a garage.
Seaplanes also, yeah.
You see them stay in the sky, and they're like this. They're in the sky. They want to park, but they go tail to tail. So if you have like 300 planes of the Americans in the air to supply food and medicines, I can ask you a simple question. Where is the bomb coming from? Is Israel going to put a plane in the sky to begin to bomb American planes supplying the food? That is where you will see that they will just have to have
ceasefire. Thank you so much, Barrister Ibi Thomas. Barrister Iman Obakolo, what do you feel about this? Your last line, and of course your advice to Benjamin Netanyahu and Hamas.
Israel should cease fire just now because the world needs peace. And it is only in peace we can see development. Because economically, the whole world is in pains. So I think the world needs peace. Israel should cease fire.
All right,
Netanyahu should give in.
He should give in?
Yes.
But do you see him giving in?
I see him doing that.
All right. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Thank you so much, Osahon Sazua, all the way from the U.S. I appreciate a wonderful analysis. Thank you for being part of the show. All right. Barrister Ibi Thomas, I appreciate you. And, of course, happy Ramadan in advance, you know. All right. Barrister Emmanuel Okpalo, thank you so much for your wonderful analysis. Yes, the prospect of having peace is attainable. Let's see how this will work out. See you next week, Tuesday, God willing. Bye for now.